Dear students, welcome to this video lecture on Chapter 10, where we will explore the vital relationship between business management, society, and the legal framework. In today's globalized economy, a business is no longer seen as a solitary island. It is part of a larger ecosystem. We will begin by looking at the management obligation proposed by W. Edward Deming, which laid the foundation for quality and ethical management. Then we will dive deep into the concept of social responsibility, examining why businesses must look beyond mere profits to ensure the well-being of the community and the environment. Finally, we will discuss how government regulation act as a guiding force to ensure these responsibilities are met. Before we start, let us look at what we aim to achieve by the end of this session. First, we will master Deming's 14 points, which are the pillars of modern management obligation. Second, we will define social responsibilities and trace its history from the 1960 to the present. Third, we will explore the stakeholder theory and how it differs from traditional stakeholder views. We will also evaluate the logical arguments for why a business should be socially responsible. Lastly, we will examine the ethical pressure managers face and the different types of government regulations that shape the business environment. To understand social responsibility, we must first understand the obligation of management within the organization. Dr. W. Edwards Deming, a pioneer in the quality management, introduced 14 points that he believed were essential for any organizations to stay competitive and provide jobs. These points are not just technical rules, they are part of what he called the system of profound knowledge. The first obligation is to create consistency of purpose. This means management must focus on long-term improvement of products and services rather than just short-term profit. The goal is to stay in the business and provide security for employees. Secondly, management must adopt a new philosophy of cooperation. We must move away from the old style of I win, you lose, and embrace a win-win mindset where everyone, employees, customer, and suppliers, benefits from business success. For example, Toyota focuses on long-term product quality rather than short-term profits, which helps it remain competitive over times. Moving forward, Deming's third point tells us to cease dependence on mass inspection. Why should we wait until a product is finished to find a mistake? Instead, we should build quality into the process from the very beginning. Fourth, management should end the practice of awarding business based on the price tag alone. If you always buy from the cheapest supplier, you may end up with poor quality. Instead, build a long-term relationship of trust with a single supplier for any one item. Fifth, management has an improve constantly and forever. Whether it is production, planning, or services, every activity must be refined daily to increase quality and decrease cost. For instance, Apple maintains long-term relationship with selected supplier to ensure consistent product quality. Management's responsibility also extends to the pupil. Point 6 emphasizes instituting training for skills, while point 7 calls for adopting leadership. Note that leadership is different from supervision. A leader's job is to help people and machines do a better job, not to punish them. Eighth, Management must drive out fear. How can an employee work effectively if they are afraid of making a mistake? Building trust is a core management obligation. Ninth, we must break down barriers between departments. Research, design, and production teams must work together as one team. Have you ever wondered why some products fail even when the design is good? It is often because the departments did not communicate. Cooperation replaces internal competition. For example, Google encourages open communication and teamwork, which leads to higher innovation and productivity. Points 10 and 11 are quite revolutionary. They suggest we eliminate slogans and numerical goals. Deming argued that low quality is usually caused by the system, not the worker. Asking for zero defects without changing the system only create anger. Point 12 is perhaps the most human. Remove barrier that rob people of joy in their work. This includes abolishing annual ratings that rank employees against each other, as these create conflict. Finally, management must institute a program of education and self-improvement and put everyone to work to accomplish the transformation. In summary, Deming's 14th point reminds us that management obligation is to create a healthy, cooperative, and constantly improving system that values people over numbers. Now that we understand internal management obligation, let us look outward. What is social responsibility? At its core, it is an ethical theory that every entity, whether it is a government, a corporation, or an individual, has a responsibility to society. This responsibility can be negative or positive. A negative responsibility means we refrain from acting in a way that harms others, such as a factory deciding not to dump waste into a river. A positive responsibility means taking actions to improve society, like a company building a local school. For a private business, it means realizing that their duty goes beyond just making a profit. They have a broader constituency, meaning they serve more people than just their shareholders. For example, a company installing water purification system in rural areas is contributing positively to the concept of social responsibility gained massive attention in 1960s. Before this, the common belief was that economic growth is the source of all progress. In this old view, a business was considered socially responsible just by making a profit and providing jobs. However, we soon realized that single-minded economic growth has side effects or social costs. These include pollution, unsafe workplace, and discrimination. Therefore, a new understanding emerged. Economic growth does not always lead to social progress. Because of this, businesses are now expected to reduce these social costs and work for both economic and social betterment. For instance, industrial pollution led governments to introduce strict environmental laws. Now, there is a rhetorical question. Does this mean a business should stop worrying about profit? Answer is certainly not. The new understanding does not replace the old one, it adds to it. A business must be profitable to survive, but it must also be responsible to be sustainable. This brings us to corporate social responsibility or CSR. CSR is when an organization considers the interests of society by taking responsibility for the impact of its activities. This impact affects customer, employees, shareholders, communities, and the environment. A key term here is stakeholder. A stakeholder is anyone impacted by an organization's activity. While a shareholders own a part of the company, a stakeholder could be a neighbor living near the factory or a customer using the product. Today, many large companies issue a CSR report along with their annual report. This report shows their non-financial contribution to society. For example, the Tata Group invests heavily in education, healthcare, and the rural development initiatives. To recap, social responsibility has evolved from a simple profit-making goal to a complex commitment to stakeholders and the environment. Why should a business care about society? There are several strong arguments. First is changed public expectation. Society gives a business its charter or permission to exist. If a business fails to meet society's expectation, that charter can be revoked through boycotts or new laws. Second is creating a better environment for business. If a company helps to improve the quality of life in its community, it will have a better pool of workers to recruit from. A healthier society means less crime and lower taxes for police and property protection. In short, a better society is better for business. For example, consumers often boycott companies that are involved in unethical practices. A third reason is public image. In a competitive market, customers prefer buying from companies they trust. A good social reputation helps a firm to attract not just customers but also high quality employees. Fourth, and very importantly, it is avoidance of government regulations. When businesses behave responsibly on their own, the government does not feel the need to step in with a strict, costly law. Regulations often restrict the freedom of a manager to make decisions. Therefore, staying ahead of social issues keeps the government at a distance. Now, a rhetorical question: can a social problem actually be a business opportunity? Answer: yes. It is our fifth point: problem can become profits. If a business uses its innovative ability to solve a social problem like creating affordable clean energy, it can actually make a profit while doing good. For example, government impose pollution control law on factories to protect the environment. Dear students, to summarize, Deming emphasized the importance of quality, continuous improvement, and teamwork in management. Social responsibility means that businesses must balance profit with the welfare of society. Corporate social responsibility or CSR highlights that organizations are responsible not just to shareholders but to all stakeholders. Being socially responsible helps businesses build a better image, gain trust, and achieve long term sustainability. Ethical decisions in organizations are influenced by laws, companies' policies, and social expectations. Finally, government regulations ensure that businesses operate in a fair and responsible manner. So the key takeaway is that sustainable success comes from balancing profit with responsibility. This is all about today's lecture. We will continue our discussion in the next video lecture about this chapter in our second part. Thank you very much for your attention, dear students.